Hello, my name is Quinn Molloy of the MassDOT GIS Services group, and today I will be showing you how to screen and add projects using our new project intake tool, created in partnership with Esri. To begin, you want to navigate to the website, accessible through the GeoDot local portal or by typing trdept.ms.esri.com/mapit directly into the address bar. This should take you to the Intake Tools splash page where you can enter your username and password. Once you've done that, once you've signed in, you'll have complete access to the project intake tool and can get started adding your projects. So this display here can be broken down into 3 pieces, each of which I will briefly explain before we start adding projects. The dark blue strip on the top of the page represents a toolbar where you'll find a basic display and navigational tools. We have measurement, layer list, legend, map, base map grid, print, contact us. So I'll just go through those quickly. Measure has, you can polygon measure an area, so we'll zoom in there, check out a couple of these tools. Measure a straight line, or you can measure a point, so it'll just give you the lat and longs. Especially important if you're, adding like a facility project or something and you want to figure out just where that is. You can go ahead and do that. Next we have the layer list, very similar to the legend, only a little bit more dynamic. So going into legend briefly, it'll show you what all the shapes that you might potentially run into mean. Here are a couple state highway layouts. These are pretty cool. You can actually go directly to documents that are related to that layout right from the tool. So that's something you'll be able to find. Map notes, any sort of comments someone might have. Those are all there. So that's in the legend. But going back to layer list briefly, this is really useful if you want to turn something like that off. So if you don't want to see layouts, you can see that it's right there, and you can turn it off. So if you wanted to add a project somewhere where there's already a layout, you don't have to be encumbered by that being there. You can also mess with the transparency, so you can see that a layout is there, but you can still see underneath to map your own project if you want. Base maps are particularly useful. If you're looking for something specific, you can switch to imagery. A couple different options there. Really depends on what your preference is. Kind of like the OpenStreetMap. We'll go to print. It's pretty functional. You can print to a PDF or something like that, and then you can print directly to your printer from there. There's different sizes. Let's take a look, actually. I'll show you an example. So we'll just print this area. Maybe you want to bring it to a meeting and, show everyone in the meeting, hey, this is where we're thinking about doing a project. What do you think? You can mark it up with notes. Do whatever you want. It'll look like this. Has a little legend at the bottom. Pretty simple display. Oh, and then there's this tool right here. So contact us has all our contact information. Kevin Lopes, the manager of GIS Services, is especially helpful, and Tim Dexter, he also is very knowledgeable. So either of those people you can contact if you have any questions about this. And then there's your username right here, so you can sign out when you're done. You want to make sure you don't leave it signed in, just in case, especially if you're not using a private computer. And any of these tools can be hidden and rehidden just by clicking on them. So that is the toolbar up at the top. So the second piece of the interface, the most dynamic, is this sort of map display. Also has a couple of tools right here. So there's the search bar. You can search any address. Just make sure that you're pretty specific. It's not like Google Earth, where there's a really complicated search algorithm. You need to be a little bit more defined in your search results, or else you're not going to get what you want. But are. Go straight to Boston. We also have zoom in, zoom out tools. This tool over here shows your map extent, so this is where we are in the wider scheme of things. There's also this default extent button, which will bring you back to show the whole state, and a bookmark, which is interesting. So if you're working in a specific town, let's say we're working in Lawrence, and most of our stuff is going to be done in the context of Lawrence, you know, zoom to a layer that you seem to think is the most appropriate. So this one shows the whole city, and you can just bookmark that, name it whatever you want, add it right there. So just to show you briefly, you can go back to the whole state and then straight to Lawrence. So you can create different extents and bookmark them for every project that you have if you wanted. And then the last tool for the map navigational tool is the Street View. So let's take a look at that. Just like Street View on Google Earth, not all the roads are in there, so just warning you now. This one is great. It was a real shot in the dark. Cool, so you can get a little bit more knowledge about the area that you're going to plan your project for. Just make sure you're in the right spot. And that is it for the map tools. So let's open this back up. Oh, and these little windows here will extend your project window, the final piece of the interface. It's a custom-built module that helps us to screen, create, delete, export, and comment on projects. So this will just hide it if you want to look at the map a little bit bigger, expand it if you want to look at the information for your projects a little bit bigger. Just put it back to normal when you're done. Great, so this window also has a couple of tools up here at the top. Once you have more projects, it'll probably be useful for you to filter. You can filter by date especially, so if you want to see all the projects that you had for a certain range of years or dates, you can go ahead and do that. And then once you have some projects, you can edit, delete, export, comment on them, or change them down at this panel. So a project has to be selected before you can do any of that. So let's create a project. Get started. So to create a project, just click right on this button, and this window will come up. And there's two options on the side here. There's the basic project screening radio button right here, or the project need and initiation. So project screening is a little less complicated if you want to do a brief overview of the kinds of things that you might need in your project, and you want to put it in there. Basic project screening is for you as like a preliminary tool. But if you really know where your project's going to go and what it's going to be, you can just go straight to project need and initiation, which, I mean, I recommend that you do basic project screening first, but for the purpose of today's exercise, we're just going to do this. So click right on it and it opens up the tool. The project name, let's see, come up with just like a big project. Easy Street Rebuild. And the proponent here is the, whoever's idea the project was. So I'll just say projects, I mean, really vary in who gets the idea for them, who suggests them, who proposes them, who works on them. So a lot of the times, city engineers, MPO, RPA, planners, city planners, DPW directors, all sorts of people have access to this tool. So I'm not going to really go any further into that. Just go with Abington because it's the first city on the list. Organization, that's carrying it out, let's say. City of Abington, completed by all right. So yeah, you just want to make sure that you fill this out as complete as possible. Just going to put some fake data in for now so that we can go through. Great, so there we have it. A little project description is all filled out. We can save and move on to the next part of the project. So we're gonna map the project. Let's scroll over to Abington. So let's pretend like this is where we're gonna do our project. And you have to make sure that this project polygon button is completed or is clicked on right before you start to draw. So say we want to rebuild this portion of the street. And that's it. You can use these tools to these little here if you want to resize it a little bit. If you think it needs adjustment, if you want to rotate that, make it a little bit more accurate, you can do that. Just move it around, and you know, you can even erase it or delete it down here, and then when you're done, you just press save and next, and that will confirm your polygon shape of the project. So that brings us to this run geoprocessing step. So all we have to do is press run geoprocessing, and it should take a couple of minutes. What it's doing is it's using geospatial technology to overlap a number of files that we have in the background with your project outline that you just created. So that should, you know, if any of these come up as yellow, it'll identify a problem area for you potentially in the future of this project, specifically with Title VI areas or safety concerns like crash clusters and environmental permitting that might need to take place on the road. So it'll identify any of those things right here in this window, and then it'll say succeeded when you're done. Save and next. It brings you to this, which is the final step of the draft completion. So you just want to make sure that all of these are filled out to the best of your ability. This will actually fill itself out when you click down here. So you want to make sure that you, sometimes if more than one road is selected, there will be a number of roads here, and you have to pick the primary road for your project. So you just click here, and it fills out a little bit more information about the street. And then just run through it and fill out, you know, I think once this is out of beta, this part will be a little bit more filled out, but just make sure everything is as complete as you would a typical application for a project. And when you're done with that, you submit it for approval. Which brings us to here. Here's what I did earlier. Just a little test. It's also in Abington somewhere. There it is. And yeah, so once it's there, people can comment on it. You actually can't comment on something until it's been approved, but you can do that when it's done. You can also, you know, make changes to it, view those changes. This is everything that's happened so far. Once it's approved, that'll be on the list. Any changes that are made will be on the list, so that'll show you in there. You can view your project by clicking on it, and you can't actually edit the information from here, but it shows you that, you know, it's there. You can always go back and make changes as needed. You can delete your project, which I will show you in just a second, or you can export it. So I think this will actually export all of the projects for the state and give you like a little list. So CSV is the sort of file extension that you would want if you were hoping to look at something in Excel. And this is the file geodatabase, so that would be if you want to look at it as a geospatial file, so in your own ArcGIS program or something to that effect. So just cancel out of there. And yeah, let me just show you how to delete this project. So if you don't like how the project looks, if you want to rethink it, if you're you realize you put it in this wrong place, you know, whatever, you just go ahead and delete that project. And it is as easy as that. So that project got deleted, brought us back to our original Easy Street rebuild, and it is waiting for approval. So once it is approved, don't forget you can go in here and people can comment on it. So this is how you add a comment once there's some more in the viewer for you to interact with. You know, something that would promote collaboration. Maybe someone in a town near your town is doing something similar, and or something that you've thought of before, and you want to, you know, sort of pick their brain about what steps they had to take to get that to work, or you want to, you know, expand the project to be a multi-town project and consider different funding sources or something like that. I just would really be a great way to interact with other people in your community who do the same thing as you. So you just add that. Goes into this little comment space here, and you can edit it later on. People can respond to it. They see your email, which is associated with your MassDOT user, and whatever this is up here for you. And then if you know, are sick of looking at it, you can go ahead and delete it. You can't actually delete anyone else's projects or comments. So you can only the things that are created with your user account can be deleted by you or edited by you. No one can go in and delete your project if, you know, if they're feeling competitive, you know, and want to get rid of all their surrounding towns' competition, something like that. It's not going to happen. So don't you guys try it. But yeah, other than that, pretty simple tool, pretty dynamic. And I think it'll be just great and super functional for you. So if you have any more questions, definitely, again, feel free to get in touch with Kevin Lopes, Tim Dexter, or you can call our GIS hotline, which will be available at the end of this video. So yeah, there'll be a little bit of contact information at the end. Thanks.